Hello everybody. Here we are to discuss the solution of flash test. Before heading, let me introduce you with the quantitative section of GMAT. The quantitative section of GMAT consists of two types of questions. The first one is problem solving and another one is data sufficiency. Problem solving questions. These are standardized multiple choice questions. You are given with a question statement and 5 option choices, out of which only one is correct. The next one is data sufficiency. These question types are unique to GMAT. You are given with a question statement with some insufficient data to solve the question. Then the question is followed by two statements, statement 1 and statement 2. Statement 1 and statement 2 carries some information regarding question statement. You need to tell whether by using the information given in statement 1 and statement 2 you can solve the question or not. So option choices are as follows. Option choice is A says statement 1 alone is sufficient but statement 2 alone is not sufficient to answer the question. Statement B says statement 2 alone is sufficient but statement 1 alone is not sufficient to answer the question. Option choice C says both statements together are sufficient but neither statement alone is sufficient to answer the question. Option choice D says each statement alone is sufficient to answer the question. Option choice E says statements 1 and 2 together are not sufficient to answer the question. So if you try solving the question by statement 1 and you achieve the answer, then B, C and E cannot be the answer choices to the question because they says statement 1 is not sufficient to answer the question in some or the other way. Now let us move to the questions of our flash test. So question number 1 says, what is the value of x? We are given with two statements. That means this is the data sufficiency question. The same answer choices of data sufficiency always remains in the same order. Now look at the first statement. It says 3 multiplied by x minus 1 is equal to y plus 3x. I open the bracket on left hand side. That gives me 3x minus 3 is equal to y plus 3x. Clearly 3x can be cancelled out and I am left with y is equal to minus 3. But I need to find out the value of x. Therefore, statement 1 alone is not sufficient to answer the question. Now let us move to the second statement. It says x plus 2 multiplied by y plus 3 is equal to 0. This gives me that either x is equal to minus 2 or y is equal to minus 3. Therefore, again, by statement 2 also, I am not able to tell what is the value of x because y can also be minus 3 to prove this statement correct. Therefore, statement 2 alone is also not sufficient to answer the question. Now, let us combine the statements. Combining the statements, I get y is equal to minus 3 by first statement and second says either x is equal to minus 2 or y is equal to minus 3. So when I combine the statements, I come out with y is equal to minus 3 and again x can take any value on the number line. Therefore, even while I combine the statements, I cannot answer the question. Therefore, statement 1 and statement 2 together are not sufficient to answer the question. Answer to the question is option choice E, that says statement 1 and 2 together are not sufficient to answer the question. Now let us move to the next question. Question number 2. It says the mean of 54822, that is 54,822 to the power 2 and 54,820 to the power 2 is equal to. I need to find the mean of two numbers that are very huge number and the option choices are as follows. Now clearly I cannot calculate the value of 54,822 to the power 2. So there must be some trick to solve the question. And answer choices itself gives me a hint. All the answer choices contain a number 54,821. So clearly, I need to change these numbers into 54,821, and that could be achieved very easily. We can write 54,822 like 54,821 plus 1 to the power 2. And similarly, 54,820 can be written as 54,821 minus 1 whole square. Now call 54,821 as A and 1 as B. So I need to find the mean of these two huge numbers. So clearly I need to find the mean of A plus B whole square plus A minus B whole square upon 2. I need to find out this value where A is 54,821 and B is 1. Now clearly, when you apply A plus B to the power 2 is equal to A to the power 2 plus B to the power 2 plus 2AB, then this will give me 2AB and this will give me minus 2AB. That would be easily cancelable. So I will get twice of A square plus twice of B square upon 2. 1A square from A plus B to the power 2 and 1A square from A minus B to the power 2. Similarly for b square, and 2ab and minus 2ab cancels out. So this 2 also cancels out and I get the answer as a square plus b square. A was 54821 and b was 1. So the answer is D, that is 54,821 to the power 2 plus 1, because 1 square is equal to 1. Therefore answer to the question is option choice D, 54,821 to the power 2 plus 1. Let us move to question number 3. It says, is x is a multiple of 5? We are given with two statements. Again a data sufficiency question. Moving forward, let us brief the question statement. It asks me, is x a multiple of 5? So simply the question is asking me, is x a number of the form 5k, where k is an integer or must be a positive integer. Now let us look at the statement 1. It says when x is divided by 3, it leaves a remainder 2. That means x is in the form of 3k plus 2, where k is an positive integer. So x can be a number such as 5, 8, 11. So AP that moves with a common difference of 3. Now clearly I have here some values which are divisible by 5, that is 5 is divisible by 5, but 8, 11 are not divisible by 5. Therefore, statement 1 alone is not sufficient to answer the question. So let us move ahead and see option statement 2. It says when x is divided by 4, the remainder is 0. Again, this tells that x is a number of the form 4k, where k is an positive integer. Now x can be of the form 4, 8, 12, 16, 20 and so on. So AP now with a common difference of 4. Now again, this AP has some values such as 20, 40, which would be multiple of 5, but some values such as 4, 8, which are not multiples of 5. Therefore, clearly, option statement 2 also fails to answer the question. Therefore, statement 2 alone is also not sufficient to answer the question. So now we need to combine the statements and look forward to see whether the answer comes out to be C or E. So after combining the statements, x is equal to 3c plus 2 for some constant c by statement 1, x is equal to 4k by statement 2, So these gives me numbers such as 8, 20, 32, 40. The first number is 8, and then the common difference of this AP would be the LCM of 3 and 4, that is 12. So again I have some numbers such as 20, 40, which are multiple of 5, but some numbers such as 8 and 32, which are not multiple of 5. Therefore clearly statement 1 and statement 2 combinedly can also not answer the question. So answer to this question is option choice E, that says statements 1 and 2 together are not sufficient to answer the question. Let us move to the second last question, that is question number 4. It says what is the probability that a number selected from this set, which consists of some numbers, can fulfill this condition: x minus 5 multiplied by x plus 10 multiplied by 2x minus 5 is equal to 0. So first of all, I should be comfortable with this word probability. So probability is equal to number of favorable outcomes upon number of possible outcomes. So x fulfills this equation given in the question statement. X minus 5 multiplied by x plus 10 multiplied by 2x minus 5 is equal to 0. So this gives three values of x. The first one is x is equal to 5. Second one is x is equal to minus 10. And third one is x is equal to 2.5. But be careful. Out of these three values, I have only two values in my set, which were the total possible outcomes. I have minus 10 in my set, I have 2.5 in my set, but this value x is equal to 5 is not available in my set. So favorable outcomes turns out to be 2, and total number of possible outcomes were total numbers in the set, that are 12. Therefore, probability is equal to number of favorable outcomes upon number of possible outcomes. Favorable outcomes accounts for 2 and total outcomes for 12. So the probability is 2 by 12 or 1 by 6. So the answer to the question is B, that is 1 by 6. Now let us move to the final question of our flash test. It says if q and t are integers, what is the value of q? First statement says q is equal to 2t by 7, and second says t plus 7 to the power 2 is equal to 7 multiplied by q plus 2 to the power 4. Again a data sufficiency question to end our flash test. The question asks me to exact value of numerical q. So I need to tell what is the value of q, the exact numerical value, not in terms of t or anything else. Look at the first statement. It tells me q is equal to 2t by 7. So the first statement gives me a link between t and q, but I cannot find the exact value of q. For example, if t is equal to 7, q comes out to be 2. If t is equal to 14, q comes out to be 4. So I cannot be sure what is the exact value of q. It can be 2, it can be 4. Therefore, statement 1 alone is not sufficient to answer the question. Moving to statement number 2. It says t plus 7 to the power 2 is equal to 7 multiplied by q plus 2 to the power 4. Having first looked at statement number 2, it seems we cannot find the value of q. Why? Because it just gives me one equation and two variables. So we cannot solve the statement. But look at the statement very carefully. We are given in the question that q and t are integers. That means q and t can take only the values which are integers. Now, because these two numbers are integer and they are equal, I have a 7 lying here on the right hand side of equal to sign. Therefore, t plus 7 to the power 2 should have at least one 7 in it. That means it is a number of the form 7k, where k is an integer. But t plus 7 to the power 2 would have any number raised to an even power, because t plus 7 is a perfect square. Therefore, it is necessary for t plus 7 to the power 2 to be a number of the form 7 to the power even multiplied a constant. Why? Because I have a 7 lying here. I have to provide one 7 to this number so that these two numbers become equal. And this number would carry every number to the power even because it is a perfect square. So this is a catch to this question. So this one was the best question of our flash test. Now see on the right hand side of equal to sign. I have one 7 here and q plus 2 to the power 4. Because this number is raised to the power 4, therefore it is going to have 7 to the power even, and I have one 7 lying here. So this number would result in 7 to the power odd multiplied by a constant. But these two numbers are equal, but they cannot be equal in any case because I have 7 to the power even and 7 to the power odd. But only one case lies in which these two numbers are going to be equal, and that case is when t plus 7 becomes 0 and q plus 2 also becomes 0. Then t plus 7 to the power 2 turns out to be 0, and 7 multiplied by q plus 2 to the power 4, that is 7 multiplied by 0, turns out to be 0. Therefore t is equal to minus 7 and q is equal to minus 2 by statement number 2. Therefore, by statement 2 alone, I am able to tell the exact numerical value of q, that is minus 2. Therefore, statement 2 alone is sufficient to answer the question, but statement 1 alone is not sufficient to answer the question. So, answer to the given question is option choice B. So, that was all for the solutions of our flash test.